for the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Big Ten champions.
National champions, yes. The Ducks take home an indoor national title.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
A lot to cover today. We're talking Oregon spring football as the Ducks continue getting ready for that spring game coming at you at Autzen Stadium on April 26th. Remember, Food for Lane County, it's one of the biggest fundraisers that we do every year. 3 non-perishable food items, the price of admission, otherwise free. And I understand that there are still some parking passes available if you head to GoDucks.com. Spring game coming up on April 26th. And today we'll catch up with a few guys on offense. One, new wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator Ross Douglas. Also Gary Bryant Jr., who was a little banged up last year, now returning to form. Yesterday, Dan Lanning said that it's the best he's seen Gary Bryant look. Love to hear that from one of the veterans who could be a big contributor in Oregon's passing game this season. And then Austin Novosad checking in with one of the quarterbacks. That's all coming up on today's show. Also of note, Jess Drummond, Oregon Lacrosse head coach. We'll catch up with her in the Country Financial Studio before the Ducks travel for a out-of-conference matchup with Eastern Michigan and then take on number 3 Northwestern this upcoming weekend. We'll talk with Jess Drummond. And some Oregon baseball updates for you. Oregon women's golf continuing in action. They're entering the final round today in 7th place at the Silverado Showdown. We'll have a score check for you coming up in just a little while. Oregon softball also preparing for a road trip ahead. A lot to review here around Oregon athletics. And I want to let you know, too, that tomorrow, Katie Harbert is going to join us. She's the Associate Athletic Director for Student Athlete Development. Outstanding conversation. We actually talked with Katie earlier, and I just want everyone to come back for that tomorrow. Katie does so much to enable student athlete success beyond the field and the court, the track, whatever. And she even made this comment in the interview that, you know, her job has everything to do with your success, not in the sport you're playing. Such a cool conversation. I hope you all come back for that tomorrow when we talk with Katie Harbert. First, let's get back to Oregon football. Ross Douglas, new wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator. First time that we got a chance to get to know him. He was at the podium in the HDC yesterday, kicking it off, talking Oregon football. New assistant coach Ross Douglas.
Coach, why did coming to Oregon make sense for you? What was this transition like? What was the interview process like? What was, kind of explain that journey for yourself?
I think the interview process was kind of interesting. I knew, so Drew Manager actually coached me at Rutgers when I was a player, and me and Rashad Samples have known each other for a couple of years. He was in LA while I was in New England in the NFL, so I had 2 connects on the staff already. Did not really have a previous relationship with Coach Lanning, but I knew a lot of people who did know him. And he's just somebody who I've kind of watched from afar from his time at Georgia, from his time as the head coach here at Oregon. It was a great ascending program. Just you see the trajectory. Like they won the Holiday Bowl first year, went 10-3, then they went 12-2, and then last year won the Big Ten championship, go 13-0. And I just saw the young talent within the wide receiver room and just the talent on the roster overall in general. So it made it very attractive. And luckily, I got an interview. Once I kind of got the interview, I knew that nobody was going to beat me out. So I'm just thankful that Coach Lanning gave me the opportunity and bet on me. So I'm going to prove him right.
Right here on the left, James. People can look at the statistics and certainly see the impact that you helped have at Syracuse last season, though adding Kyle McCord certainly helps in a big way in that. How would you describe the impact that you had both in what you inherited in the room, guys you brought in who had big impacts, guys you inherited who hadn't had the kind of seasons they had until you showed up, and how do you try to replicate that here? No,
definitely proud of what we were able to accomplish at Syracuse. You just look at the kids we had in the room. Kyle McCord, he kind of got dumped to the wayside at Ohio State after they lost to Michigan, and he was a guy who kind of went through the transfer portal process and didn't really have a home, and he had a home at Syracuse. And then the guys who I inherited in my room, it was a bunch of guys who were counted out, doubted, underappreciated, and really didn't have career statistics like Jackson Meeks when he first he spent 3 years at Georgia. He had like 10 catches, 132 yards. Trevor Pena was at Rutgers, or not Rutgers. He was at Syracuse for 4 years, had 20 catches, 270 yards or something like that. But, those guys, they stayed down, they trusted the plan, they put the work in, and it was a long process. But at the end of the day, those guys were truly bought in. They got better every single day, and we were able to have the best pass offense in the country. And I just hope to replicate that here. It's, again, kind of similar situation where, Evan Stewart returns. He has some production. Gary Bryant, he's played in his career before. Corey Moore, true freshman. J-Lo played a little bit last year. But it's a bunch of guys who might not have all the accolades and the stats and the All-Big Ten honors and things like that. But at the end of the day, these are talented players, and they're willing to put the work in. So we're just focused on getting better every single day. So I hope to kind of replicate that same thing here at Oregon.
Other coaches have said that once they got to Oregon and started, recruiting with that O on their chest, they felt a little bit different. If you kind of had that experience?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it does hit a little different when you got the Oregon behind you. But no, nonetheless, the same mindset, mentality that I've had everywhere I've been, whether it's been at Syracuse, whether it's been the New England Patriots, whether it's been at the University of Richmond when I was a corners coach. I mean, the same mindset, same mentality. I'm going to come to work every single day, bring positive energy to the building, and give my all every single day I step in this building to the coaching staff and to the players. So that ain't going to change regardless of what logo I have on.
Back left, Matt.
Kind of touched on the Corey Moore briefly there. Just did you recruit him previously? Did you have a relationship or not? And then I guess just what's kind of stood out about him since you've been able to practice 6 times now?
Great question. I did not have a previous relationship with him, but what sticks out to me is he's a young ascending player who's very, very talented, and he wants to be great. So the want to and desire for him to be a good player is there. So now he's a young player. He just has to get reps. So he has to adjust the speed of the game. High school, he steps on the field every time. He's better than every single buddy here. And college football, it might be the same way. But at the end of the day, now he just has to adjust the speed of the game, get on the same pages with all the quarterbacks, and just continue to get reps. The only way you get better at playing football is by playing football. So he's just doing that right now. He's out there. He's available. He's doing everything he can to make sure he's a good football player.
James on the left.
Mentioned Evan before. What does he have to do? He's probably the most significant returning offensive player from a skill positions standpoint. Do you look at him as either a X or a Z? Versatility helps, but having a spot certainly helps as well. And what does he have to do to become that 1,000+ yard receiver for this team?
I look at him as a offensive weapon. I mean, he's been kind of playing ever since he was a freshman at Texas A&M. So he has a lot of production in his career. And now for him to become a 1,000-yard receiver, it's just to build on the consistency and him being able to stay healthy. That's really it. So we just have to become more consistent on the down in and down out basis. We're just doing our job, knowing what to do, knowing how to do it, and out competing our component. But he's very, very talented. He has a lot of ability. And for him to become a 1,000-yard receiver, I just think it's just the overall consistency. And, it's been a pleasure to coach him. He's in my office every morning at 6 in the morning. We're watching a lot of tape, making sure he's good on all of his assignments, his route detail, and all that. So it's been a pleasure to work with him. I'm excited to see where his work takes him.
2 more, Eric. Zach.
Ross, I'm not sure you've spent a whole lot of time on the West Coast. I'm just curious on kind of what it's like being out here and kind of maybe if there's any culture shock, kind of what stands out. I know you've only been here, you're probably nose down on football, but just kind of what your first impressions have been.
No, I like the West Coast. I mean, sure, I think the biggest culture shock is I have a 1.5-year-old son, and he's adjusting to the Pacific time zone, so that's kind of been the biggest culture shock. He's waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and, I have to get up with him. My wife has to get up with him, so I'll just say that's the biggest adjustment so far. But, no, I like the West Coast. I mean, I've never lived the furthest west I've ever lived in my entire life was Michigan, and that's the Midwest. So, no, I like it out here. I think it's beautiful. I love the energy out here. I think this is a great football program, a great university, great people. Everyone I've met has been very welcoming and very pleasant. So, no, I've enjoyed my experience so far. So, I'm from Ohio, so me coming all the way out here, no, I like it out here. It feels like home.
Last question, Zach. Junior
Adams, very well-respected coach. What's it like kind of being the next guy? Like, how do you fill those shoes? How do you deal with the pressure that comes with that?
Yeah, Junior, everywhere he's been, not just Oregon. I know he was at Oregon, he was at Washington. Everywhere he's been, he's kind of recruited at a high level and coached at a high level. So, big hats off and big respect to him. And he's going to do a heck of a job with the Dallas Cowboys. He has some good pieces to work with, good quarterback. And I'm excited to see what he does with the Dallas Cowboys. But, I'm just sure. Junior Adams is Junior Adams. Ross Douglas is Ross Douglas. So I'm just ready to just kind of make my own stamp and show what I have. I have big shoes to fill. So now I just want to take it, put my spin on it, and run with it. And hopefully hopefully that translates to a lot of success within the wide receiver room.
That's Ross Douglas. Get a chance to hear from the new Oregon wide receivers coach, passing game coordinator. It was great catching up with Coach Douglas in the HDC yesterday. We'll go to some of the student athletes when we return. Stick with us. Going to talk with Gary Bryant and Austin Novosad in a moment on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studios after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Continuing on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you inside the Country Financial Studio. So we got a lot of different diamond sports on the road this week, which is unfortunate. I hate when it times out that both baseball and softball are at home and then both on the road. Just as a fan myself, it makes it harder to keep up with everything. And talking about Oregon baseball, though, on the road against Maryland on Friday, Oregon softball on the road against Minnesota on Friday. Both of those are on Big Plus. They both start at 3 o'clock on Friday. Full Diamond Sport preview coming with you today, tomorrow, and on Friday. Ryan Milano and the Oregon baseball team are on the road today. Ryan's going to make this trip. I'll actually go to Michigan State, Iowa, the Big Ten tournament with Oregon baseball. So Ryan's on the road to Maryland. And a reminder, too, that the Ducks have tacked on a game at the end of that trip against Georgetown on Monday at 8 a.m. In case it's like the longest baseball game ever, that means we actually won't have a Duck Insider on Monday. Just a quick programming note for you. But for both of those diamond sports, these are, I think, critical road trips. For Oregon softball, the Big Ten standings are such that this could be a huge determining weekend for who wins the Big Ten. Not to mention that UCLA series coming up at the Jane next week. And then for Oregon baseball, the Ducks are still right in the thick of it in the Big Ten standings, and a few wins this weekend before Oregon baseball also hosts UCLA coming up next weekend, where the Ducks and the Bruins are also right around that first place marker. I'm just planting the seed that both Oregon baseball and Oregon softball could get a little momentum here on the road before returning to take on that school, one of the schools from L.A., and first place may or may not be on the line in the Big Ten standings on both diamonds. It sets up that way. A little momentum would be nice here this upcoming weekend. We'll talk a little more baseball coming up. Back to Oregon football. Gary Bryant Jr. Last year, thought he might have a bigger role, but then got a little bit banged up. He talked about what that was like being banged up, and now for a guy in Gary Bryant Jr., who frankly could be a huge contributor this season, what he has seen from spring practice so far and also for himself just getting back a little bit healthier, Gary Bryant Jr.
Gary, if you can take us back to late August, what exactly happened, and did you know immediately that it would be nearly 3 months with what looked like a lower body injury to most of us?
Yeah, so it was a lower muscle injury to my adductor and my abductor muscle. I didn't know it was going to be a severe injury like that. I was trying to fight back to get back for the season, but it was just like kind of bothering me all year. So I was just doing whatever I could do to help this team, practice-wise, or even if it was in games, just giving somebody a breather or whatever it was. I was just trying to do that and do my best job to help us win games doing it that way.
Right here on the right. Zach?
What's been your experience so far with Coach Douglas? How has that change in the room kind of impacted everyone?
It's been great. He's been coming in, very energized guy. He's a younger coach as well, so he kind of relate to us on and off the field. But it's been a great experience. He's coming in and a Patriot guy, so they do things the Patriot way there, and it's kind of similar here with Dan at Oregon, coming there and just being a blue collar guy and having your head down, working every day.
Right here, on the left, Eric.
Gary, I'm just curious what your outlook is, or kind of what you're focused on this offseason, what you're trying to grow on. I know obviously coming off an injury that can maybe slow some of that progress, but where's kind of your head at right now?
Yeah, just staying healthy. That's my main concern, is just being healthy, being available for this team from spring ball to the end of season. And then obviously just working on my craft, route running, deep speed, long speed. So that's been the main thing I've been focusing on.
Back in the back, Aaron.
Coach said that after Saturday's practice, you had some words that you said to the team or a message. What was that message, and why did you feel like you needed to address it?
I didn't think offense had a very good practice on Saturday. We did a lot of competition periods that time, and I think defense got the best of us. So I kind of talked to the offensive guys, letting them know, like, man, this is not the standard. Last year, them guys they set the bar pretty high for the offense, and we got to match that. So I was just letting the guys know, like, man, every day we got to come here and compete. And it's our job to dominate defense. It might be ups and downs, but it can't look like how it looked last weekend.
Right here on the right, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to Austin in a few minutes, and I'm just curious what your thoughts are on the quarterback competition as a whole, and also what do you think about Austin? What do you like about Austin?
Yeah, I love Austin. I've been getting a lot of reps with him. He's a deep ball thrower, and every deep ball is right there on the money. He's been a lot more vocal this year, knowing what to do, the plays in and out, getting guys lined up. And I think they've been doing a pretty good job of letting all the quarterbacks compete. There's no ones, there's no twos, there's no threes. Everybody's just been rotating and getting good, solid reps.
Back left here, Matt.
A lot of new faces at your position group. Can you just speak to that group as a whole and what excites you? What stood out to you about that group?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just being together. We got a transfer from Malik. We got a lot of freshmen and new guys, and I think they've been able to adapt. Like, okay, we could connect with these guys and be a family. And then obviously from a talent standpoint, I think we're gonna be one of the most talented rooms in the country this year as well. Just with the talent we got alone in that room.
2 more questions, James.
Whether it was Tez or Junior, other guys in the room last year, Gary, they referred to you as the glue of that room, even with the injury and with everything else. A lot of guys aren't necessarily comfortable being vocal or speaking out a lot when they're not playing. It's hard to lead in that way. Why were you that way, and what allows you to be that way when you weren't playing? Why were you still comfortable doing that?
Yeah, I think I'm not really a big vocal guy myself. I'm really a lead by example guy. So when I come out and work every day, I think the guys see that. So this is my 3rd year here in the program. And as years go on, you get more comfortable being able to speak to certain guys and stuff like that. And they see the way that I work every day. So they're like, man, this guy, we can depend on this guy. So everything I say, they kind of listen to and take a toll to that. Just from them, they know me. Like, if I say something, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Last question, Zach.
A lot of hype around Decorian early on. What have you seen from him so far this spring?
Very explosive. He's a young guy that came in here, already got the playbook down, can play any position in the receiver room from X, Y, Z, A. Explosive receiver, got good hands, got good routes, good size. I think the future's bright for him for sure.
That was fun hearing from Gary Bryant Jr. And I really appreciated that question about, hey, you've been banged up. It's hard sometimes to be a leader after you've been banged up. And I'll tell you from personal experience, like, he was in there a lot in terms of leadership and from the sideline. Like, you just heard a lot of that from Gary Bryant Jr. last year. We all did. That is a tough thing to do, like, especially for a guy who transferred in, was figuring to be a big part of this team, and now he really is one of the longstanding veterans of that position group. I think he's poised to have a big season. And I also like that he just said, hey, look, like, at this point, it's just being healthy. A healthy Gary Bryant could be a real weapon for the Ducks. He had some nice things, too, to say about Austin Novosad, didn't he? He is a deep ball thrower. Wide receivers, I think, enjoy a good deep ball thrower. And Austin Novosad, I'll tell you from experience, throws a really nice deep ball. And you always hear coaches, student athletes, in maybe every sport, they talk about when the game slows down, when the game is not sped up for you. I think the game is starting to slow down for Austin Novosad. Guy who has known Will Stein since he was in high school, was recruited by Will Stein, in a lot of ways, followed Will Stein to Oregon. There's some value there in an offense like Coach Stein's that involves a lot of checks, that has some determinations made by the quarterback. Hear what Austin Novosad has to say about getting more and more comfortable in this offense. Duck quarterback Austin Novosad talking with the media.
Austin, kind of a different tenor for this I'd say this offseason, just with the job being kind of up for grabs. How have you, I'm not going to ask you if your approach has changed, 'cause I'm sure you'd say it hasn't, but just kind of what has been your focus entering this camp?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the same kind of all 3 years, elevating your game every offseason. I think this spring just kind of leading the team, leading the offense has been a big thing for me. Really understand the playbook now, so, you're out there trying to execute it at the highest level you can now.
Zach here.
What's your relationship with Dante been like throughout this process, going against each other, competing against each other, trying to make each other better? What's that been like? Yeah, it's been super good. That whole room's pretty close, and so we go out there and help each other when we need to, and go out there and compete. We're all trying to make plays and lead to the best of our ability in that room. So it's been great.
Chris?
Yeah, Coach Stein earlier this spring talked about how he doesn't want you guys like battling in practice. One guy throws a good deep ball, now you automatically think you have to match that. Is that something that's easier said than done, to not kind of get caught up in the moment during these practices?
I feel like for our room, we do a pretty good job of just going out there. He harps on it a bunch, but executing the offense. Like, everyone has different plays. Run your play to the best of your ability, and that's what he's really looking for. Other than if this guy throws a big play, then I need to throw one. So I think we do a good job of that.
Back left, Matt.
Will's talked a lot about how you've had the ability to learn under Bo for a year, and then again with Dylan. And how much did that help you? And then I guess along similar lines of that, of how much do you have to remind yourself to play your style of football and not try to be what Bo did or what Dylan did?
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think because both, just seeing Dylan and Bo, both were completely different quarterbacks. But I think one thing that was super similar was just their preparation, and that's one thing that I really learned from both of them throughout the 2 years. Like, they both prepared the same, and you felt super confident going into the game with them. Like, they knew exactly what we were going to get, and they executed at a really high level, and you could see that both years.
On the left, Eric.
What would you say it is about your skill set that fits well with this offense? Why is it a good marriage?
Yeah, I think just the pro style, being able to, take shots when needed, and then also our RPO game, like being able to sit in the pocket and deliver a pass. I think, coming from my high school to here is very similar, so fit right in.
Front right, Zach.
From where you were when you got here 2 years ago to where you are now, what do you think you've improved the most? I would say just my leadership and execution of like a faster paced offense. Coming here, we have a lot of checks, a lot of different schemes, play calls, and then now being able to kind of NFL style, being able to take a play call from Coach Stein and then relay it to the whole huddle and execute it at a high level has been kind of my biggest area of growth.
Front left, James.
see you guys are working with some on-helmet cameras here this spring. Just what are you getting out of that? And is that in a VR capacity or straight video? What exactly does that look like on your end?
Yeah, so it's all like GoPros, and so you get a really cool angle from our point of view of being able to kind of take the huddle. You hear everything, what's being said to the O-line, and then as the ball snap, just seeing our reads and being able to go back and watch that has been a super cool tool for all of the quarterbacks so far.
Back right, Aaron.
Just the players and the staff that we've talked to this spring have talked about just bringing some of the more inexperienced players like yourself up to speed with the Oregon standard is what they're calling it. How have you kind of attacked that? How has your room attacked that? And how has the offense attacked that this spring?
Yeah, I think being a young team, our room has definitely seen that, and I think we've done a good job. A lot of us been here a couple of years, so kind of pulling those guys along, getting them up to speed. I think we've executed, pretty well this spring, and I think the young guys are picking it up really well. Everyone seems really invested, and I think you can tell that at practices.
On the left, Eric.
Speaking of young guys, what are your early impressions of DeCorian?
I mean, that he's a freak for sure. I think he runs very explosive routes, goes up, high points the ball, does a good job, and I think he's going to make lots of plays for us. The years he's here.
What are you working on and focusing on most this spring, Austin? And how will you define success 3 weeks from now when spring's wrapped up? These next 3 scrimmages, including the spring game, you'll feel good. You feel like you achieved what you were looking for. If you do, what exactly?
I would say for me, leadership and high execution, being able to lead the offense, taking command, control of that. And then from a success standpoint, I guess finishing out these weeks of spring ball and having a good spring game, leading into the summer workouts and stuff like that.
The Ducks will be back on the practice field tomorrow as spring practice continues. We'll have a Quack Minute for you every day. And that's Austin Novosad talking with the media there. I just really like the evolution of that thinking for a quarterback, right? Like, okay, it's a little more NFL style now because there's such a relationship with a play caller and with a quarterback, and the ability now that someone like Austin Novosad has, who has been through this offense now, has been through a couple camps with Will Stein, with the entire team, and even the question about the Oregon standard, what does that look like? Well, for him now, he is one of the more veterans. He's becoming one of the more veteran guys, even though he hasn't done it on the field as often in games. He's becoming a veteran in how he is approaching everything. You can just hear it in his voice, right? The confidence that he has. Spring game on April 26th, that'll be part of the success. That's just one, though, of 3 scrimmages that the Ducks will hold during camp. They will scrimmage Saturday, scrimmage the following Saturday, and then it's the spring game. Looking forward to it. 1 o'clock. More details, GoDucks.com. There's still some parking passes. It's free admission, but remember, it's paid parking. It's a baseball game day against Oregon State as well, so a lot going on. And, we talked with H.J. Cohn actually yesterday about this, but the construction changes the operation here around the Casanova Center and Autzen Stadium. So if you haven't driven down by the facility in a while, there's been some changes to MLK. On the street, it's now a bus lane on the closest side to the curb for a lot of it. So on a game day, though, reminder, on a game day, if you missed that last year, if you didn't make a trip down last season and see that change, on a game day it still flows through the bus lane for every regular for a regular vehicle. However, the entrance to Leo Harris Parkway, closest to I-5, or actually, I'm sorry, furthest from I-5, but closest to where most fans come in off of the I-5 off-ramp, that portion of Leo Harris is closed because of the construction. So just remember that things are a little different traffic flow-wise for parking. Everything looks a little different with all the construction. There's a lot of cranes around the Casanova Center right now. The Mashofsky Center parking lot currently is gravel. Yeah, Scott said gravel. It doesn't exist right now. But the point is that new facility that's being built, the indoor football facility, that has completely changed the way that traffic flows around here. So for the spring game, I'd highly encourage everyone to grab that parking pass ahead of time, and you'll be entering from, what would that be, the east side of Autzen Stadium. I think I might have just confused people more than I helped. But the point is the traffic flow and the parking is a little bit different around the Caz and Autzen Stadium these days. We're going to get a timeout. When we come back, we're sitting down with Jess Drummond. She's on her way into the Country Financial Studio, Oregon Lacrosse head coach, next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio with Oregon Lacrosse head coach Jess Drummond. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm okay. You know, I think senior day is emotional.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And I do want to go back and ask you a little bit about that.
Totally.
Also, the trip ahead, going out of conference before returning to conference with Oregon Lacrosse.
Yes.
How was senior day? That's
yeah.
a bittersweet day.
Always, always. And, you know, it's so special to be able to have, like, one final opportunity on Pape to defend it. You know, my motto all year.
That's right.
And I just am so proud. I feel like whenever we have senior day, these last 2 years I've been here, it has been, like, an epic turnout for our team. And they did that again on Sunday.
You're sitting at 5-8 overall, and I wanted to ask you, too, about that fight that your team had against Michigan. Again, that's another top 16. They're number 16, but a top 25 team. 5-goal loss. I know you want to win every matchup, Coach, but I feel like we've seen a lot of growth from your team. What
Absolutely.
have you seen?
I know. I've been talking to them, too. Like, after that game, after our Maryland trip, I was really proud. And after that game, I was just as proud of, like, I've seen such progress and fight with this team. You know, we've talked a lot about what it means to look at Oregon Lacrosse, and you see that. They don't give up. Having a scoreless fourth quarter is incredible against a Big Ten team. And so, you know, we have to continue to find those wins and recognize that our team has gotten better every time we faced a Big Ten opponent.
How hard is that from a coaching and student-athlete perspective? I mean, you want to win, right? Like, it's easy to be happy when you win, but taking those little victories.
And it's always just been a conversation. Like, we always have been focusing on us, not the opponents. It's, you know, how is our team improving? How are we making the most out of this year, knowing that this is the most elite conference in the country for lacrosse? And so we find those wins, we celebrate those little things, and we keep moving forward. And I just am so proud that this team has continued to believe in us.
What's a film review like for you? Like, take us through, like, you start, what's a film review? Don't reveal any secrets, but.
It's not. We always talk about the takeaways from the game, like what went well, what are some areas of growth, and then we just work on those that week of practice. And we're big on film and scout of just finding out where there are areas that we can improve on, and we just talk about it.
Are you a pause in the moment person? Like, right when you see it, and like, how do you do that as a coach? I'm genuinely curious about
No,
this.
yeah, totally. It honestly depends on the type of film session. We've done where, I'll play a clip and then I'll be like, okay, let's rewatch that, and then you talk about it.
Right.
Or I'm like, let's watch this moment of that clip, and this is where we should be focusing on. And so it's kind of a mix of both.
How much has the streaming world changed that? Like, there's more film, I'd
Oh my
imagine,
gosh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, more technology. We are able to have like iPads out at practice, so I can literally be like, okay, go rewatch that clip so you can see it from a different view. We're just big on that, and like I've said, we've just been wanting to grow their Lax IQ, a lot of chalk talk all the time.
Chalk talk.
Chalk talk.
Have you ever used chalk to actually do the talk?
Probably in like my first year of coaching.
Really?
I just don't like chalk though, so.
You're a whiteboard person?
Yes.
See, I'm a telestrator from the broadcast. Like, I want to be able to draw those yellow lines and like have it show up.
No, that's not my vibe.
That's my vibe.
Yeah.
So you're a whiteboard person.
Yes.
Okay.
Very
How
much
many
so.
different colors of Expo markers do you carry with you as a coach?
I think there's 2 or 3 in my backpack.
Yeah, just at all times?
Yeah.
Black, green, and yellow?
I think I got black, green, and red.
Red sticks out more.
Yes.
I get it. I feel that we
Yellow
often...
is like, fades on the white.
It's hard to see the yellow,
Mm-hmm.
but it's Oregon. I happen to have yellow and green tape.
On a black wall, though, it's not against white.
Right.
Yeah.
You see, design aesthetic.
That's great.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about Paige Crowther.
Yes.
I mean, that was cool to see. Again, I know you want to win every time, but 2 different times, pretty impressive performances. 17?
Yeah.
That's a lot of saves.
That's a lot of saves.
A lot of saves.
Yeah. I think it's, again, like, to show up and perform on senior game and do that for this team is so remarkable. And, she had a couple cause turnovers on top of 17 saves, again, against a team that's the 16th in the country. Like, that is so empowering and confidence boosting that I'm like, how can you not walk off that field feeling proud about yourself?
How much have you seen this team grow? And maybe where have you seen this team grow?
Yeah. A lot. Like, I don't know, a lot. Yeah. We talk about it. But I think specifically in their confidence, in the belief, and their freaking fight. Like, I'm just so proud of them from start to finish. We've seen a lot of, like, just fighting for that first quarter, keeping it close with teams, kind of that middle area. And then again, like, that fourth quarter, being able to show up, like, at the end of the game when you're tired, you're fatigued, and the game's not going how you want it to go, but still performing to the best that you can.
I feel like we've talked before about how you kind of want the identity to be like you're gritty.
Yeah.
You fight,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
defensively, we've talked about how you things have changed and shifted, right?
Yeah.
But your defense in the fourth quarter, like, is that, go back to the film study example, like, is that where you want this team to live defensively? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Same. I'm like, I feel so confident in our defense, and we've thrown such young players
Right.
out there that I just am like, imagine how you're going to continue to grow this program and grow this defense and have that confidence going into next year. Like, I cannot keep saying it enough, but you're playing the best players in the country, and like, you're getting those stops against the best players in the country.
Talking about that coming up this next weekend. Number 3 Northwestern on the road on Sunday, but first going out of conference against Eastern Michigan in what I will say is one of the greatest town names in the history of everything. Ypsilanti, Michigan. Eastern Michigan, Friday. It's on ESPN Plus at noon. What do you see from Eastern Michigan? What's the report?
Yeah, another team that's so gritty. Like, they don't stop fighting. They're powerful. They're strong, and they just, they can get to cage. And I think it'll be a really fun matchup for us, like, with kind of how we run our defense, to being able to see if we can how we match up against them. And I'm just, again, like, I'm excited to see how our Big Ten matchups can then move this program forward to face somebody out of conference and how we'll show up.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and let's review maybe a bit of out-of-conference action for this team. Butler 18-6, that's a victory. Stetson 17-7, that's a victory. Columbia 15-7, that's a victory. Central Michigan 14-3, that was a victory. I mean, you talk about these matchups out of conference that you had to start the season. Safe to say that the metrics show that the competition level in the Big Ten is just really good?
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Did any of that surprise you? Like, what's been your breakdown of the Big Ten this year?
No, it does not surprise me. I think going into it, it's just like we get to compete against the best teams in the country, and I just continue to echo that to them of, like, if we continue to focus on ourselves and we each improve every single day when we're out on this field, and then on game day continue to take those wins and losses and areas of growth and areas where we did really well, and we're only going to continue to push this program forward.
I mean, Coach Altman always uses the phrase swing away, so I'm around that all the time, right?
Okay.
So swing away against Eastern Michigan, swing away then against number 3 Northwestern,
Yeah.
right? Like,
why not?
Why not?
Yep.
10 a.m. on Sunday against Northwestern. It's on Big Plus. Sounds like as part of this trip, too, you get a chance to visit the Big Ten offices.
Yes. Yep.
That's cool.
I know. Super cool. Excited to see it. We're also going to go see the Bean in Chicago. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Joey.
Yeah, Coach made a point during the break. She's like, we're going to go see the Bean. And I hesitate, like, I fully admit, I have only ever been to an airport in Chicago.
Cool airport.
Yet to be outside of an airport in Chicago. I don't know. Do you think that being in an airport counts as you've been in that place? Like, it's been in that city? See, I don't think so either. Like, I have flown through.
Just passing by.
Yeah, I have flown through a lot of states that I've not stopped in. The irony is that a lot of those states are Big Ten school areas, and now I've been to many of those places.
Yeah.
So you would say it doesn't count. Okay.
No.
So I
will send you a
have not been to Chicago.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a photo of the Bean that once we are there.
With like you, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be like.
That's good.
I'll send a selfie.
That's gonna be great. You know, we talked about it when you guys went east for a trip earlier this year, but just the opportunity to do some other things beyond playing. I know that's a big deal to your program.
It is, and you know, we talk a lot about just the holistic student-athlete experience, and some of these players have never been to Chicago before. And one of them asked, are we going to see the Bean? And I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's go do it. We land in Chicago. We can go get a little bus to drive us down there. So I love that they are creative and they feel confident to ask us of like, hey, can we go do this? And I'm like, yeah, why not go do that? So we've got a fun little trip, too, for USC, but we'll save that for the next show to talk about.
Okay, fair. Good. Good.
But, yeah, I'm all about finding things to do and get the experience when you're in a different country and how fun city.
You could be in a different country though.
No, not this year.
But your career here as a head coach started.
I have been in different countries.
Tour. Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just think that's so cool. Like that even your student athletes are coming to you and saying, "Hey, like we're going to be here, coach." Like, because it is a business trip, right? Don't get me wrong, but you know, you got to eat.
Yeah, you can take care of business and also do some exploring.
That's cool. That's really cool. Okay, some keys to success. You've talked about the growth of this team. What's going to take to be successful this week?
Yeah, I think it's going to really come down to like our team winning values that the team has picked. I will continue to bring those to like every game. Just being gritty, being relentless, sticking together, and just being consistent and staying as a family. So that's been a big one. And we talked a lot about possession these last few games, and I think possession of the ball is going to be key.
Jess Drummond, Oregon Lacrosse head coach. Ypsilanti bound.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach. Hey,
thanks.
Have a good trip. We'll catch up next week.
Sounds good.
All right, timeout. When we return, a little bit more from spring football. Diamond Sports also rolling. Get into that next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
If anyone could actually see my desk on that wide camera, I don't know if I mean, yeah, you really can't. Yeah, if you zoomed in, if you paused, you'd see that I have actually created myself with my trusty toolkit here on the desk in the Country Financial studio. I've actually been working on some headset repairs, and I unfortunately think I've created a headset graveyard. I thought I was fixing it, and I said to Scott, "Hey, we're gonna do some headset repairs." This headset, by the way, property of OSN, headset HS2 Terry Johns. This was the backup women's basketball headset that has not been used on one of our broadcasts in when did I replace those headsets? This headset has not been used on the air in 8 years, at least. I mean, and we've all had those headphones that they start to shed. That's what this was, and I thought I was making it better. Since I began this morning, I've fixed part of it and made the rest of it worse. Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack in the Country Financial Workshop, and we continue. Let's talk a little bit of baseball. Ryan Cooney, Jason Wrights both met with the media this week, and I'll tell you what, Ryan Cooney, even when he gets out, it seems like there's a plus in his at-bat chart. So what the Ducks do, they actually will sit there and chart was this a plus at-bat or a minus at-bat? A home run is more than likely a plus at bat. A strikeout, often a minus at bat. But sometimes things like a ground out or a walk, right? Those may be plus at bats. Sometimes an at bat's so good it becomes a plate appearance because you just took pitches and the pitcher walked you, right? Ryan Cooney has been that guy. He's also, I think, come a long way in terms of defensive presence. And I'll tell you what. He made a great play I should back up. He's made a few great plays now at second base. Has routinely been excellent defensively. Ryan Cooney met with the media this week.
Ryan, good weekend for you this week. I think on Saturday you got on base all 5 times and scored, I think, on 3 or 4 of them. Just how do you feel at the plate right now, and what's going right with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm seeing it really well. Just adjustments that me and Coach Martyr and Coach Waz have been working on have been really clicking for me. And I think this weekend was a good, showing of that. I'm glad that I was able to help the team on Sunday. Obviously would have hoped that we came away with a win there, though.
Right now.
Yeah, you talk about that. You start off the weekend with those 2 wins where you kind of put all the pieces together, and then Sunday some other issues crop up. What was kind of the feeling after the week? Obviously you take the series, but, we're probably looking for the sweep.
Yeah, of course. It's always good to win a series, good conference, good teams. I think as offense, we always think that we can be in every game, and I think that I would have loved to see us, finish that game on Sunday. But I am proud of the guys and how we came back this week and put on good performances all 3 days, but I also think that we have the ability to sweep those games.
You guys have dropped 4 of your last 7. Just what's the feeling in the locker room and the dugout, and just how do you guys try to learn from these experiences going into this big stretch here with UCLA and Iowa and Oregon State on the schedule? What's the mentality you guys have going forward here?
Yeah, I think especially with the upcoming games, I think it's going to be a challenge, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's going to help us grow. And the losses have been tough in the games that we should win, but I think that they're going to strengthen us for those big games against really good teams. And the teams we've lost to also are strong in places as well. So I'm excited to see how the guys respond. But the locker room is together, and we're behind each other.
Back right here.
Kind of building off of that, you talk about just the strength that you get from those losses. Looking back at just the entire season, where do you feel like you guys have grown the most? And what strengths do you think that you bring into this stretch?
Um, as you know, as an offensive guy, I think our offense is strong. I think we're very, older. Not I am on the younger side, of course, but I think the old guys bring a presence that is really important to the entire team, including the defensive side and the pitching staff. So I think that's one of our strongest points is our leadership and the guys being behind each other. I think is going to be really important.
Ryan Cooney, an Oregonian himself, and he and Maddox Maloney, the sophomore tandem up the middle, have been great offensively, and I'm telling you, great defensively. And, to that question about what the schedule ahead is for Oregon baseball, yeah, they go to Maryland. Maryland is a sub-500 team in Big Ten play, playing Georgetown and in Virginia, actually. Georgetown's ballpark's being renovated, and a little bit of inside the broadcaster's nightmare again, as I've created, pieces of headsets here. Ryan is actually going to be doing that game off of a hotspot, because their ballpark is being renovated. And so the radio broadcast, if you hear any minor drops or any issues, I'm just going to say now, bear with us, because Ryan's going to be doing that game off of a cell phone hotspot because there's no internet actually at the location where the Ducks are playing. So we'll see how it goes. I say all that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but actually if you hear any drops or things that you'd normally be like, that's technical difficulty, that is what's going on this weekend. Now, though, to turn that page back to the actual thing that matters on the field, UCLA. Big Ten standings are such that Oregon and UCLA might very well be competing for first place, depending on how things go this weekend when they come to town next weekend. Oregon baseball and Oregon softball both in that boat. We're going to get a timeout, come back, talk about a guy who made his return to the starting rotation this past weekend in Jason Wrights. Sticking on baseball next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow. You sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider. It's presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack, here with you in the Country Financial studio. We got some news coming in for Oregon track and field that we'll tell you about, a big Freshman of the Week honor. But first, Jason Wrights of Oregon baseball. He returned to the rotation this weekend. Ducks ended up winning the game that he pitched in. That was cool to see Jason Wrights, who has You talk to Mark Wasikowski. He says all the time, this is day one MLB draft talent in Jason Wrights.
Jason, we didn't get a chance to talk to you after the game on Saturday there, but just how do you feel like you performed in your first start since, I think, early March, I think it was, against Columbia? Just how do you feel like you performed out there?
Yeah, I mean, just regardless of the results, I felt like I was able to pitch free, and that's all I can ask for.
Back to Jared. How do you feel like your kick changeup has kind of helped your development and helped you as a starter, and obviously kind of bullpen as well, but multi-innings? Just how do you feel like your kick changeup has added to your repertoire?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I didn't throw it before the season. It was kind of just right at the beginning of the season, I started throwing it, and it's helped me a lot. I do throw it a lot, so I think that goes to show how useful it is for me.
Right, Jared. You guys have had some real bullpen struggles here lately. Held leads in 4 of the 7 games you played in, all losses. But what is the overall mentality there in the bullpen, and how you guys can kind of come together and perform down the stretch here?
Yeah, definitely things to figure out. But I think as a group we're really tight, and we're all with each other through this time, and we're confident in ourselves that we'll pick it up here.
Defensively, I know you weren't pitching on Sunday, but just what was your vantage point of Anson's play? What was going through your mind and through the dugout when that happened?
Yeah, it was pretty unreal. I was sitting next to the coaches, and just right when he caught it, I just stood up and hit one of these. It was probably the best catch I've ever seen in person.
Have you guys dived into Maryland at all? And if so, they got 3 guys in their lineup who have an OPS over 1,000. Just what have you seen from them on tape?
I haven't dove in yet, but I would say regardless, we're just gonna pitch our game and do our thing regardless of who we're playing.
Last question here, if you're starting on Saturday again this weekend?
I do not know.
We'll find out. Jason Wrights, the Oregon starter from last weekend, and I like that, talking about the repertoire. Things do change over the course of the season. Hey, Oregon newcomer on the heels of a record-breaking performance, Diana Chirodich has been named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Just came out today here during the show. Outstanding. Broke a school record by 20 seconds. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's